Too expensive.
You don't go anywhere, Jordan. Jordan's like, hey, Elfishguy, do you want to come and hang out on our day off? And he's like, nah, I'm saving money at home playing vid games.
Maybe that's just a convenient excuse to not hang out with you.
Yeah,
have you ever
same
considered that?
excuse you use for everyone, unfortunately, Elfishguy. All right, let's go. Melbourne up against Order. Order in green. Melbourne Mavericks here in the white.
And we have got signed onto the Ash, which is very enjoyable.
I love it. Plus, I'm a big fan of the Farah as well. And we'll see whether the Ash versus the Farah, how that's going to play out. Surely you say Ash wins, and we know how good Signed is at clicking heads.
Now, Winter's doing a pretty decent job with this Farah, putting down the damage. You can see the res does come across as well onto Nami. Order do manage to cap up the point, but not too much of a loss really suffered there by Melbourne Mavericks. As obviously, they've had a decent fight. They've been able to build a little bit of an ultimate charge in here. Now it's just going to be a case of, I guess, sort of enabling Nami, who at the moment is definitely struggling.
Yeah, it hasn't been so good, that's for sure. The point, already 20% now for Order. Melbourne kind of half tried to get on there and make something of it, but can't help but feel that the Farah versus the Ash is maybe not the best of matchups here.
Well, this is the pick that they need, but they need to ensure that Winter survives there. This is what I'm talking about. Like, if you're playing this kind of DPS composition as Melbourne Mavericks, if you're getting those picks, that's where you need to be using that opportunity to push on forward, and they're going to try and do that with the res coming across. EMP down from Guzto will open the door for the rocket barrage of Winter, and that is going to start to put some damage into Order that was entirely necessary from Melbourne Mavericks. They should be able to cap this point now.
Jordation somehow finds baubles with the right click. He just threw them all out at once, as you do. The 5-ball coming through, and somehow this puts them in a position. Poor Adam actually can't go anywhere because he's surrounded by mines.
I think it was a blessing in disguise, Ben, because he was just sitting in the corner there in the Baby Diva form, absolutely railing bullets into the head of Nami. Well, I guess lasers, but you know what I mean? Like, how does he get that? And how does Melbourne Mavericks not actually manage to cap at that point? I am astonished. I mean, Jordation gets a pick in the meanwhile there as well, just before they enter the point. But like, even still, Melbourne Mavericks, they should have won that point. Is a concern for them if they are not able to capitalize on something like that.
Those are the ones that you need to win, because it's going to be so tough for every other one. There comes the EMP, finds 3, stops Quats as well from popping that Primal Rage as soon as this EMP dissipates. That one's going to become available. There we go. Quats going to use it. Mini Winterbow's down. Signed has used Bob as well. Quats onto the point, knocking everyone off. We're into overtime now, but Order will cap the first point. Yeah, there's no problems at all there for Order. I mean, when you look at that, the only fight that they quote-unquote lost was the one that Melbourne Mavericks had literally everything. They had EMP, they had Rocket Barrage, which is like the big combo from the composition that they were running. Not to mention all the other ultimates that were available to them. But even in that case, they didn't necessarily really lose the fight. Like, they lost the fight, but they didn't lose the point. So in the end, really doesn't matter. And Order come away with 100% to 0. So not a great start for Melbourne Mavericks if they want to win this series. I think you need to get on top of Order early. You know, when we see Order kind of, at least the way I look at this roster is when they're on top, they are just blitzing everyone. But it's when they're kind of behind, when they have to fight from behind, when they're a little bit tilted maybe, things don't quite work their way. But if they start off well here, Order, I'm just going to say I think it's a 4-0 straight up. Well, it certainly has been a great start so far. Can they continue it to the next round? That's the real question. Reinhardt up against Reinhardt. Mirror match teams. See who comes out, who manages their personal bubbles better. And it's going to be Gusto, Nami, Mini, all very low. The D-Mech comes through and the main tank goes down for the Mavs. Order sitting on 6 players and will charge on through, capture the point, and chase down the remnants of this Mavs lineup.
Yeah, Order very solid on Goats. They really enable Quats to do a lot of that heavy lifting. He's up to 96% of the Earth Shadow already, so it's going to be fantastic. As soon as Melbourne Mavericks try to walk through this choke point, you're going to see Yuki there just sitting on the corner of the wall trying to get a shield bash into Mini.
Yep.
And Quats will follow up. And if not Yuki, it'll be the Boop.
Look, at the boot does actually come through, but Quats kind of gets stunned up there, as yet not able to throw it out, not needing to throw it out. You can see the team from Order pushing through, finding picks, now up to 27%. They really invested, well, nothing at all into that fight, so that was a freebie for them.
That's an even better result for Order. It just puts them one more fight ahead. You know, when you consider the ult economy and how it plays out here on Control, there's not a lot of time actually for Melbourne Mavericks to come back into it if they're starting to get at a deficit, which they are most definitely now.
Watts throws out the shatter, hits Gusto. I don't know if that's going to be enough. Transcendence from Forbles. 6 alive for both teams still. Melbourne popping the rest of their ultimate sign with the grab. Self-destruct comes through. Looking for the hole-in-one, but not at all. Just drops it on the outside. Still somehow manages to find Winter. Mini finds 2 picks, including Quads. Now Order without their main tank. The Melbourne Mavericks looking better. 64%, 65%, getting closer. But surely the Mavs get onto the point.
I mean, that was looking really good for Order. Then we see the double support ult go down from them. And then 2 players get picked. So whatever the case there was, I'm not sure, maybe Jordation or Unta or both didn't actually hit the 2 guys with their ultimates. Regardless, when you use both your support ultimates, you better hope that all your players stay alive, which was absolutely not the case. Now Melbourne Mavericks have a good chance to take this point, but Order not giving it up easily, and that's a great shatter from Quats.
There we go. This time, Quats with the good shatter. Already 3 players down for the Mavericks, and it's looking like it's not going to be the case that they can get onto the point. For some reason, it seemed like they had the advantage going to that previous fight, Jordan, but 60 seconds later, everyone's respawned. Now they're at a disadvantage. The ultimates are there still for Order. They come out on top, and a couple of opportunities maybe for the Melbourne Mavericks there to find a fight win or to find the point, but in the end, just not good enough.
There was definitely 2 opportunities for them, one on each round, and neither was really taken advantage of. I think that's, again, testament to Order, their ability as individuals mechanically to kind of have an impact. Like, for example, here, Adam's going to finish off Nami. Just before that, Jordation had gotten rid of Forbles with a 5-ball from the Zenyatta. So you're going to get those kinds of plays out of Order. And I think here on this point of Control, it was more so the case of Order, okay, they disengage at the right time. They keep enough players around. They keep the players on the point to kind of keep that fight going. Even though that it looked like a losing fight once those respawners came in. Once Quats was able to get a nice Earth Shatter down, then it was fight over. And this is exactly what we see right here. So it's just a case of Order understanding the fundamentals a little bit better. And maybe it's, I mean, maybe not even understanding, it's just executing the fundamentals better.
They're just you know, we talk about where's your advantage, right? Is it in the team comp? Is it in your communication? Is it knowing when to fall back?
Probably everywhere when it's Order.
The problem is that for Order, they have all of those things. Quite often, you'd be looking for one that's your area that you can, right, this is their weakness, we can do this. And unfortunately, it's going to be tough up against one of the top teams in the region.
Yeah, definitely. I think for Melbourne Mavericks, you kind of look at their roster and you think, okay, well, they do have a couple of fairly strong DPS players. Maybe let's try to enable Nami, let's try to enable Winter. And they, to an extent, they tried to do that on Lijiang Tower, but it didn't really work. Remember, like, they got one decent fight off, which was the EMP Rocket Barrage, with Nami managing to find a pick just as it started as well on the Widow. But I got to say, so far, I don't think Nami's really had a huge impact at all on the Widowmaker. Winter, when he was on the far up, was okay, but it wasn't anything particularly special. So if Order's going to be able to shut that avenue down for Melbourne Mavericks, then that's quite concerning for me, because it was pretty obvious that when we were in the Goats v Goats matchups, where Order has essentially been almost all season, I mean, they're much, much stronger in that department.
Yeah. And I guess, to be fair, you know, the Mavs have come out with something a little bit different to kick it off, but easily countered there, right? The Farah didn't have the impact required. Order came out with the correct lineup from the very get-go to deal with it. Then all of a sudden, round 1 of map 1, you're behind it and it's not working out. We head across now to our hybrid game mode. Yeah, we're on the Kings Row, and Sombra Goats coming out from Melbourne on defense. Order! It's just going to be running, well, Goats here on attack. We'll see if it works.
I do like Melbourne Mavericks when they play Sombra Goats. I think Gusto's generally fairly consistent with the EMPs. The fortunate thing is, though, Order, you can see very, very well aware of what Gusto's trying to do. Twice already he's been forced out of that fight.
What's going to go down to Nami, mini-traded back there by Adam. 2 down for the Mavs, 1 down for Order. You see 1/3 of the point already captured. Order back now onto the point. Signs picking up heads left and right, and this is going to go straight across to Order very quickly. 40 seconds into the round, and they're onto the payload. Yeah,
and that's really what you do not want to see at all when you're playing Sombra Goats. I mean, the way that composition works is if you win that first fight, then you expect to win probably the next at least 1 or 2, one from the EMP and then the second from the rest of the ultimates, in which case you kind of get down to almost 0% time left for the attacking side, but hasn't been the case. Order have just rampaged straight through point A, and you can see they're continuing to do that here into the streets, into phase B. Being pushed back a little bit, admittedly, but they've kind of got the job done here, Order. I think that's fair enough. Now you just need to wait for those respawners.
you're always going to waste a little bit of time on phase B here when you're trying to get onto the payload, and it's a good little checkpoint as well for the defenders. The Mavs are going to soon be coming up on those ultimates that they need. That EMP,
that's right. Yeah.
The Transcendence is available as well.
Well, it's really critical here that Jordation doesn't get hit by the EMP. I'm not sure exactly where he is, but...
Well, he will survive, and now the Trans comes out straight away, but not early enough to keep Quats alive. Nami coming through with a quick left fist to clear that one up. Throws out the grab. The Mavs still with plenty of people left. Keep this one going, and the fight is over before it almost began. Order, on the other hand, though, yes, they use Transcendence, but that's it. That's all they've thrown into it. We wasted probably a minute to a minute and a half here, which is good time. Maverick's going to chase in again, try and make something on this very early, but Transcendence comes out from Vorbles. The grab there from Sign. Fluoro goes down to 1-for-1 trade, kind of stacking them in spawn, and Mini actually manages to find two before eventually going down there with Winter. Quats coming through with the left quick. Order's going to get the spawns. They should get onto the payload. Let's get this moving.
I mean, I'm not too disappointed with that, actually, for Melbourne Mavericks.
No.
They have a forward fight. It allows them to build the EMP once again. Sure, they lose it, but how long it takes Order to actually get onto the payload from that position and then kind of push it into a scary sort of proposition in terms of the point B area. Actually, Melbourne Mavericks is going to get back and have a really, really solid defense here. So that's actually, I think, a very smart fight for Melbourne Mavericks. It's really a free one in a sense.
Yeah, it's so far forward, and they've stacked up their ults again. Gusto throws it over, gets the EMP still. I think Jordation manages to get it off before the EMP comes through. Force still not half bad. Hunter's still got the sound barrier, however, and Sign going to immediately throw out the grab. Nami counters as well. Nami, you can see, lit up like that Christmas tree. Tons of damage to available to Nami there at 100% energy. But it's actually Order who seems to still be coming out on top. A couple of picks went Melbourne's way, but they're still in the payload. It's still pushing forward. Nami's
still here, though, and Gusto's almost built another EMP in this fight. So I actually think that Melbourne Mavericks can hold this if they get those ults up in time. Quats will get the health pack up, but it's not going to help him too much, and actually just ends up feeding a bit more ult charge over to Gusto. EMP out now, and this should be where Melbourne Mavericks is able to push Order back.
Yeah, 3 players in that one. Adam going to get demeched there. Nami still on a ton of energy. This is where the majority of your damage comes out here in the Goats lineup on your Zarya. And this is how, I guess, Sombra Goats is supposed to work. Yeah. Gusto, time after time after time, getting that EMP up and being able to use it effectively.
The thing is now, though, in this next coming fight, Order actually has a lot of ultimate advantage. Melbourne Mavericks, they charged theirs faster in the last fight because they engaged it first, and they had to use that second round of ultimates to win the fight. Now Order's going to come in here and just win this one and say, hey, it doesn't even matter at all.
Fluoro's gone down straight away. That's definitely less than ideal here for the Mavs. Mini is low, Winter is low, Heal's coming through. Order still has the Transcendence available, and they're finding picks. The payload will get through checkpoint B. Now we're going to have 3.5 minutes for this third and final phase of Kings Row.
Yeah, so for all the good work that Melbourne Mavericks did in the previous fight, unfortunately, they don't have enough. They kind of maybe overcommitted the ultimates, but then you got to argue they may not have won that initial fight anyway. So I think at the end of the day, it really only costs Order like 30 seconds, not even a minute probably. I'm not going to be too disappointed by that. They've still got a lot of time here headed into phase C.
If they held better on Objective A, they'd be looking at a really good time right now on defense here, Melbourne. So that's the one that's really cost them. This fight's going to push through. They're going to try and hold at the final corner. Adam's still going strong, almost demeched, but not. Gusto up on the high ground, trying to get that last couple of ticks before his EMP is available. Throws it out, hits everyone other than the supports. That means that Hunter is free to come back through with the sound barrier. But even though he pops it, it looks to me like Melbourne Mavericks are going to be able to win this fight.
Yeah, again, the sound barrier is not going to be quite as useful as the Transcendence in that situation. Trans here for Vorbles, though, very useful indeed. Completely cancelling out
Perfect
the Graviton
timing.
Surge.
Perfect timing.
And the thing is, like, when you don't have the Trans there, when you're all getting EMP'd, like, there's so much hard CC coming down from that Earth Shatter that it's really easy for Melbourne Mavericks to just chunk straight through that extra shield. The extra shield's much more useful in a straight-up team fight like this.
Earth Shatter only hits Yuki. Probably needed more than that, unfortunately. And with the self-destruct, Jordation going to go down to the Zarya. Melbourne with the respawns, much closer. Melbourne, of course, with the player advantage as well. Nami going to throw out the grab for the defenders. And Winter! Look at that. When you're all chunked together, Brigitte is your worst enemy.
Yeah, Winter. A lot of damage coming out from him, but actually I got to give a shout out here to Nami. I think Nami's been charging those Graviton Surges very, very quickly indeed here in Phase C of the map, and that is putting a lot of pressure, I guess, onto Order. Not to mention the fact that Gusto's been getting those EMPs up when necessary. Hasn't been the quickest charge time for him, but it always seems to be there when it matters, and this is again going to be that case.
Somehow, look at this, his EMP is available once again. So much uptime for this Sombra, alive so often, gets so much charge, still hits everyone there other than Jordation. You can see Mini has also thrown in the Earth Shatter to kind of combo through when it was available. Quats Hunter, Adam gets down to dodge as well. Jordation will be staggered by Fluoro. Actually, Gusto coming in with a couple of free picks, and Melbourne doing a very good job here on defense, Jordan. The two phases where they've had the payload, where they've been defending the payload as opposed to defending the point, they've looked much more effective.
Yeah, definitely. Credit to Jordation, he's been getting those Transcendences off when the EMPs have come down, but it just does not seem to make a difference. The focus fire has been so good from Melbourne Mavericks. Discord Orbs down from Forballs, of course, and Jordation doesn't get the peel that he needs there.
Gusto single-handedly spoils another fight here for Order.
Not sure where Adam was.
Yeah.
Adam's been demeched as well, so he must have overextended here.
Jordan, we were talking about how this could be an Order 4-0, but right now, we might be one apiece heading into half-time.
Oh, well, I'm not so sure about that, Ben. We have yet to see the defensive side from Order. I feel like we've told this story before.
We have. This is my favourite story, Jordan.
Grav got eaten.
Yeah, that's a big one. Adam coming through with the goods. Order throwing everything they've got.
Just got the touch.
They've run out of time bank into overtime now. Nami's found one, Mini's found one. Nami again on quite a bit of energy right into the thick of things. And Gusto has thrown out that EMP once again, somehow managing to get it up. And well, what, 50 meters here in Phase C for Order against any of the other two teams vying for that top spot, Jordan. That would not be, I think, good enough, to be honest. And my question is, will it be good enough going up against the Melbourne Mavericks?
Maybe. Melbourne Mavericks are looking good, though. I thought Nami put a lot of damage down, even in that last fight. They're back up to 64% straight after using the Graviton Surge. I would love to have seen the damage stats if we could have, but unfortunately not the case. Seem to all sort of be working in unison there for Melbourne Mavericks, though. The ult economy was very well managed. EMPs coming down at the perfect time. Grav Surges comboed well with the rest of the roster. And for Order, it just never seemed like, even when they had the support ultimates, right, they got them down at the right time, but it never felt like they kind of had that ability to sustain through the fights. You could see how quickly and easily Melbourne Mavericks were sort of dispatching of Order.
I'm ready for something interesting here to come out from the Mavs, but I suspect we might just see... Will we see Sombra
I mean, I think Sombra Goats is definitely
probably
something that we could see. Obviously not the May. Oh, well, look, you know, there's always a world in which this May works, actually, on this first point.
You should have seen the sick May plays we had on Monday, Jordan. I don't know if you watched
I haven't had a chance
yet,
to watch.
But Damon coming through, very good.
Shanghai Dragons?
Yeah.
No more. Playing esports. Out with the old, in with the new.
Going to win some maps as well, even better.
That's a good start. This one I'm talking about, they're going to just try and isolate someone with that May. That's why I said, like, it can work.
Yeah.
But obviously not this time. So we're going to just hop off to Brigitte. I don't think there's any harm in trying something like that. Like, if you catch the Reinhardt in front of that gate, then that's the free point, essentially.
Yeah, it's a freebie. Same reason teams might throw out a Widowmaker or something like that. The first fight is going to be a free win, however.
Not a fun place to get staggered.
Going across to Order. So yeah, not necessarily what the Mavs want here.
Yeah. Mini's going to swap over onto Widow, so not feeling it with the Reinhardt, maybe? Not sure exactly what the plan is there for Melbourne Mavericks, to be honest.
Looking for the free.
I feel like that really just gives up a little bit of the Earth Shatter charge. Not that it should make too much of a difference, really. Where we're going to see the fight win here for Melbourne Mavericks is once Gusto actually gets that EMP charged up.
Bots has an Earth Shatter available, uses it. I'm not even sure if he needed it at that point, to be perfectly honest. I guess the one thing there is that you do definitely want to secure kills when you're defending here on Objective A. Obviously, your respawn's much longer than theirs. So anything you can do to not lose anyone is definitely beneficial.
I mean, Melbourne Mavericks are already at a deficit now. Like, Order have their noses in front if we look at the times respectively. Order would have already capped up this point, so any fight win here, even if you overinvest in from Order, is not bad in the grand scheme of things.
Couple of picks very quickly again coming out for Order. They looking very good here on defense. The Mavs going to need to do something different. Certainly going to need to make the most of the ultimates they've got coming up. The question for me is, are they going to stack 6? Or are they going to try and make this EMP Transcendence work?
I think you can probably just bet that they'll wait at least for Sound Barrier, which admittedly you don't even need to wait now. Guzto's position is known though, so he'll be forced away. They're going to chase him down. The EMP comes out anyway.
Hits quads and Adam Jordation pops
EMP.
Transcendence immediately. Not enough. Mini with the Shatter only hits the Diva. Still 6 alive for both teams. Order are finding their ultis as well. Adam with the self-destruct. Exploding mech. Winter goes down. Sound Barrier for Melbourne is used. But they're not in prime position. They haven't gained any ground. They're still stuck behind the first gate here. And Order is saying, oh, you can't come through. Sorry, boys.
Yeah, that looked like a bit of a panic EMP, I think, from Guzto. He was really being put under pressure. You could see the boot came in from Unta, which uncloaked him. And then he decided to translocate back and use the EMP anyway. It only hits 2 players. And with how strong and solid Order have been looking on this defense, you need to hit more than 2 players with that EMP. That said, Guzto's basically built another one in this next fight. So, I mean, sure, it costs them a little bit of time, but not too much. It's not going to mean that they lose based off just that one fight.
Yeah, well, the problem is they are running out of time. Jordan, Sound Barrier from Order, grab from Nami. Eden, oh my goodness, Adam coming out with the goods once again. And you can see the remnants of the Melbourne Mavericks forced to fall back into spawn. Well, 45 seconds on the clock.
Now it literally is in the hands of Guzto as to whether Melbourne Mavericks are going to get a shot here on Kings Row or if they're just going to be knocked over really quickly by Order.
Everyone else going to change up here for the Mavs as well.
I guess that makes sense to an extent. If you can get rid of the shield here from Reinhardt, it's going to really open up the avenues for Nami, for Winter to get damage in. And that's all going to come as a result of the EMP. Smartly played here by Order, just backing away, but they are going to have to contest at one point.
You can only hide in the hotel lobby. Eventually, you have to push back out into the stark cold of Kings Row, and that's a huge EMP. That is what the Mavs needed. Going to hit 5 of them. Everyone other than Jordation, once again, who goes down as soon as that Transcendence is no longer available. Winter finding the goods once more here on the far, already up to a rocket barrage sign. One of the last hopes for Order on defense. Now 2/3 of the way through. We are, of course, on overtime on the first point. Order seals the deal. Sorry, I was going to say, I said Order. What I meant is Winter seals the deal. They'll get the point. But it's going to be tough from here. There's not that much time left to work with. Something
Game of Thrones reference.
Yeah.
It obviously worked out perfectly for Melbourne Mavericks, that fight. As soon as the EMP goes down, as I said, opens up the avenues for Nami to get the pick, and it's Unta who falls to the headshot from the Widowmaker, and then sort of the dominoes follow, which is obviously great news for Melbourne Mavericks, but it does still put them in a scary position here. They have not that much time.
Yuki up on the high ground, expecting there might be a sneaky little Sombra up there, and that was most definitely the case. The shield bash comes through, and the Sombra goes down. Adam now pushing a long way forward as well. That self-destruct could certainly pose a bit of an issue here for the Mavericks. And yeah, it's going to be very difficult for them to even get on this payload at this point.
That said, you got to remember they don't have to get all the way, so even if they have to push it in overtime, it's still doable. And he starts the fight off well. There's a nano boost, I should say, down onto Mini.
Yeah, nano boost to Reinhardt, quite effective. Potts goes down as well. We said it was going to be tough. Well, their opponents no longer have their shield tank, which allow the Mavericks to follow up with a number of picks. Gusto, again, looks like he's going to have that EMP ready for the next fight. They need to get onto the payload here. They're going to start running out of time. Adam and the rest of the Order lineup buying as many free seconds as they can.
How does Adam get out with his mech alive there? I'm astonished. He literally just shifted into them all. Okay, he has lost it.
Eventually. And actually could be quite costly here, John.
It is indeed quite costly. Particularly because there's an EMP and a grab available here for Melbourne Mavericks. So they just have everything that they need now. When you're not having to worry about the grab, about the grab getting eaten. Should be pretty straightforward here for Guzto, especially if he finds Jordation, and there's not really anywhere for Jordation to hide, so
Here we go. EMP comes through. Jordation somehow manages to pop the Transcendence immediately once again. 2 plays down now for Order make that 3. The Melbourne Mavericks pushing through. They should be able to clean up the rest of this Order lineup on defense. Checkpoint B should be theirs. We'll get another, what, 90 seconds on the clock. And look, now things are looking possible, Elfishguy.
Yeah, and that's going to mean Sydney Drop Bears sort of licking their lips watching this. If Melbourne Mavericks actually wins 1 map, then Order have to hope that Sydney Drop Bears don't 4-0 their series against Legacy.
Yep.
Otherwise, they'll be on equal map wins at the end of the season. And Sydney Drop Bears would come in first because of their head-to-head record against Order.
That would be a very interesting scenario, wouldn't it? Jordation's gone down. Order on the back foot here. Transcendence coming out from the Mavs. We're over the sound barrier, so 2 support ultimates almost at the exact same time. To be fair, Elfishguy, they don't need to go far at all here.
Nope.
Hunter's dropped the beat, but his team's still falling. Adams taking quite a lot of damage to getting closer. Gusto has another EMP, and Adams gone. See ya later.
EMP.
Here we go. Needs to hit most of them. Throws it out. It's going to hit everyone who remains alive. Quats throws out the Earth Shatter, but it will not be enough. Elfishguy, I talked this one up. Could we be 1-1 heading into halftime? We certainly are. The Melbourne Mavericks going to pick up Kings Row here against Order. For some reason, they really seem to struggle when it's a control point. But on everything else, life is dandy.
Just goes to show, once you have that momentum, if you can keep that hype train rolling, you're going to be able to steamroll over even a team like Order, and that is exactly what happened. Took them so long to get point A, but for Order, it's all well and good to have a really strong hold on point A and put yourself in a good position, time, bank-wise, but if you don't win a single fight from there, Melbourne Mavericks, like I said, they didn't actually have that far to go because it only kind of got around the first corner of Phase C. That's really only maybe 1 fight worth of
I'm
defense.
going to call it now, Jordan. This game is going to Nepal. This is how this match is going to go, right? Based on what we've seen so far, Hanamura is going to go to Order because it's Assault. Then we're going to go to Junkertown, in which case the Melbourne Mavericks are going to win. Then we're going to go to Nepal, and all of a sudden, the Mavs are going to forget how to play control point again, and they'll get 2-0.
I mean, that may well be enough done by Melbourne Mavericks already today to kind of stop Order from actually picking up first seed going into the semi-finals, really.
It makes me now question, right? We said that perhaps this Mavs lineup was the easier run through the bracket, through playoffs, and look, there are things there that you have to go, oh, this actually might be a little bit tougher than we thought, or is Order just underperforming? I'm not sure. I
think in theory you would still argue Melbourne Mavericks is the easier run.
I would agree, but maybe not easy.
No, I would have said that they were going to be easy. I would never have said that. But it's definitely a good performance so far today from Melbourne Mavericks. If they can keep putting the right foot forward, if they can keep kind of adapting to what Order's running. You know, like what we've seen already from them, they've been able to swap their compositions up there as needed, as necessary on Kings Row and be able to finish things off. So want to see more of that from Melbourne Mavericks, that adaptability. Maybe we are in for an interesting series here. Maybe in the world, Order may lose this one.
Wouldn't that be a crazy, crazy world? Well, that is half-time here between Order and the Melbourne Mavericks. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, more Overwatch action. We'll see you soon.